Hi, my name's Steve Mast, and I'm the President and Chief Innovation Officer here at Delvinia. Many of you sent me a ton of questions related to the current situation we all face. So we thought, why not pull together some of the smartest and brightest marketing leaders to address these questions? We've started a new series, 3 Questions in 3 Minutes. You'll hear from CMOs and marketing leaders from some of the biggest brands. I hope this answers some of your questions. Enjoy.
So first of all, welcome my friends. Thank you very much for joining us very last minute.
Morning.
I know everybody is super crazy busy, so we're going to keep this fast and furious. So here's going to be the format. We've got 3 marketing leaders. We're going to address 3 specific questions, and we're only going to spend 3 minutes per question. So this is going to be, again, as I said, fast, but it'll be very insightful as well. So before I get started, why don't we do a little warm up? And instead of me introducing each one of you, I thought it'd be great for you guys to introduce yourselves. So the warm up question is going to be, what's your typical day look like right now? I know everybody's days are very long and changing. Carrie, you and I were just chatting about kind of what your day looks like now. But why don't you just talk real briefly about what your day looks like? And before you do that, just give me your name, title, and company, and then answer that question. So why don't we start with you, Carrie?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Carrie Dawson, and I head up digital as a channel for HSBC. And you know, the wonderful thing about digital channels is that they really allow you quick and easy access to customers, a really effective way to, you know, deliver information en masse or in a quite targeted fashion. So, you know, you can imagine that my team and I have been very much at the heart of the communication measures during the past, you know, in our case, it's been about 4 weeks. So my days are starting really early and they're ending really late as I work with the teams to sort out priorities for these channels and to ensure that we're properly resourced to meet whatever new requirement is emerging, because of course things are emerging all the time. You know, I think specifically about the really impressive relief programs that have been announced by the federal government for individuals and businesses over the past few weeks. You know, that really was emerging kind of day to day. So we want to ensure that we're fully apprised of details and we're ready to respond in the best interest of our clients.
Great, perfect. Uvi, why don't you go next? And by the way, I love the virtual background. That's quite amazing. I've seen that around actually a few places as well. So why don't you go next?
Yeah, Uwe Stockman. I'm head of marketing for Loblaw, and that background, by the way, is our number 1 organic reach tweet in the history of the No Name brand. So we'll talk about later about being relevant in today's marketing community. You know, my day is you know, I probably haven't worked this hard in many years as I have in the last 4 weeks. You know, 7 days a week. You know, as Carrie said, this thing is constantly evolving. The situation is constantly evolving. Obviously, we're an essential service. And keeping our stores running and operating as efficiently as possible, and keeping consumers informed around the new way of shopping is something that we're working on literally every single day. So my day starts early, ends late too, and it feels like it's 7:24. It's been like one long day. I think a lot of people have experienced this that way. This like Groundhog Day kind of feeling. But I do think we're settling into an you know, interim new normal kind of way of working right now that everybody's finding their rhythms. You know, I've got a lot of daily touch points with a lot of people. I am literally, you know, wearing these pods out a couple of times a day because we are constantly touching base. I'm over communicating to my team. I try to get something out every single day to let people know what's happening, what's going on. Because you know, people can feel a little isolated and lonely, and so we've done everything from you know, thirsty Thursdays virtually to an eat together lunch virtually to do all of these things to try and create some community and have people feel connected. So it's an interesting time.
Yeah, you touched on something I think is really important is it's sort of how do you virtualize culture inside of organizations, right? So you touched on something really interesting. So fantastic. So Peter, you're up next.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. My name's Peter Furnish. I lead the product and marketing team at Starbucks here in Canada. I haven't had as much time to play my guitars as I think some other people have, but I think what I would say is my time has become much more intentional over the course of the day. So here we've been really reaching out and leveraging our network, learning from our partners in China that went through this, 30, 60, 90 days ago, connecting with our team daily in very fixed meetings, and then scheduling some free time just to reach out to employees or partners, as we call them, who are at home, and some of them are at home alone, some are at home working in small spaces. So also try and book some flex time in the day where I could just reach out to people, reach out to store operators, reach out to regional directors, and connect with them and just hear back directly. I think Uwe said it great. There are just new ways of working that we're establishing, new rhythms that we're falling into. And I just find you just have to be much more intentional about it. But it's been very rewarding, and I've been just so happy with the response across our entire network.
That's great. Yeah, I think you bring up a really interesting point as well as Starbucks, HSBC, and even Loblaw as well as global brands. You're learning from your partners abroad, right? Which I think is a fantastic point as well. So the sharing in terms of the overall community, I think has been fantastic around that. So, okay, let's delve into these 3 questions. Like I said, Joanne's on the phone. She's going to keep us honest and keep us to this 3 minutes as well. So let's start with the first one. So this is kind of a big one. So Gartner recently reported that 87% of brands are delaying or canceling campaigns. I mean, that seems like a pretty obvious thing. So the big question is, how are you retooling or adapting your marketing strategy, your previous strategy? Maybe you've thrown it completely out and you're trying something new. And also maybe redeploying your actual marketing team as well. I know many businesses have been putting their teams in the front line, or they've been volunteering on the front line as well. So curious about that. Why don't we kind of go in reverse? Why don't we start with you, Peter, on that question?
Sure. Yeah, I think for our team, what we really try to do is first of all, our strategy really relies on the partner connection at the store. So the corporate focus has been on the health of the store partners. And making sure that they don't have to choose between work and their health. So there have been programs put in place, partner salaries, or I should say hourly partners have continued to receive their compensation through the month of April, whether they work or not. So they don't have to make that choice. So partner safety has really been the first piece that we've looked at. From our team specifically, we're still trying to keep our eyes on the horizon because we are operating on a modified state right now. Where we have drive-through service only, and a few stores close to frontline responders are open. And our team's objective is really to be ready for when that customer comes back, and when that customer wants to come back and reunite that partner in store with that customer that's coming in. So we're really trying to keep our eyes on the horizon. We have delayed some short-term activity for sure. We haven't made any significant modifications yet, but we're just listening right now and getting feedback on how to do that.
Great. Uwe, you're up next. It seems to be that Loblaw for sure has been out front and center. I've seen Galen a ton of times on various different shows, so he's really been out in front of it as well. So curious about how you are sort of retooling your marketing strategy and your team as well.
Yeah, it's a really, really tricky time. We pretty much turned off all pure brand building activity, and I should say we're a multi-branded entity. So we operate many different brands, retailing, control brands, President's Choice, Shoppers Drug Mart, No Frills, Loblaw. There's a lot of brands that all have their own brand strategy. They all have their own marketing plans, and we had to evaluate all of them to see what is relevant, and the way I look at it right now is what is helpful, what is helpful to Canadians in terms of marketing activity. How do we help people through this in a way that gives them hope, gives them a sense of calm, and we always try to inject this idea of kindness into our communication to create
30 seconds remaining.
A kind of wow, a very kind of calm and friendly approach to it. So almost all of the pure brand building is turned off, and we're just really trying to help people through this time with helpful stuff.
Great, Carrie, we'll give you the last 20 seconds.
Yeah, you know what? So few weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. ways in which these needs are now being met have changed dramatically. So, you know, we know there's lots of changes in media consumption. I won't get into all the stats on it, but content, what content is favored is quite different. For instance, you can imagine that there's lots of searches, you know, related to financial services. This is ranking really, really highly. And, you know, for what I do, of course, we're watching that. And yeah, we're incorporating those insights into, you know, our planned promotional activity. We're pivoting, and it's really all hands on deck. Like the teams are working really well cross-functionally to solve whatever problem needs to be solved. So,
Great.
yeah.
So let's switch to the second question. And this is an interesting one because obviously as you sort of monitor consumer behavior and monitor what they're looking for, there seems to be a lot of studies out there that are really pointing to the fact that consumers are putting the onus on brands to say they need to really get in the fight and help really tackle this major global pandemic. Actually, Edelman Global Trust Barometer, they had this recent survey they did, and 62% said their country wouldn't make it through it without brands supporting them. So really the question I have about this is, how are you guys monitoring your customers, you know, behaviors and questions and call something? I know, you know, chatbots and Twitter is blowing up right now in terms of questions, but I'm curious how you're monitoring that and disseminating all that information. So why don't we start with Carrie on this one?
Sure. So, you know, we're closely watching search trends, of course, and listening to our clients and monitoring social and observing digital behavior. So, I mean, we do this outside of crisis time, of course, but, you know, we're more closely monitoring, and that's required these days. Because the circumstances are changing, you know, almost daily. So, you know, critical supplies are in jeopardy. We're all concerned about frontline healthcare workers. Many of our customers are losing their jobs, or at least they fear that they will. And, you know, we know that our customers are looking for support. They needed help. They need advice. We know there's concern and, you know, even worry. There's worry about what's on the horizon and how long this current situation will last and how long folks can manage financially. So we're very, very focused on supporting our clients through this time and making very good use, of course, of digital channels to do that.
Yeah, I think you bring up a really interesting point there around the digital channels. And I think organizations that are maybe further along in their digital transformation might be better suited to sort of monitor and be able to sort of manage through this. Peter, thoughts around how you're monitoring and sort of addressing sort of your customers' behaviors?
Yeah, I think right now for us, Steve, it's how the customer wants to interact with us and meeting them on that need. We mobile order and pay, which is a huge percentage of our business, has just exploded with people mobile ordering, coming through the drive-through, walking up to the store. Launching delivery last year in partnership with Uber Eats has just accelerated beyond our wildest dreams, much more quickly than it would have on a normal trajectory. So we're watching some of those shifts in terms of how customers are shopping, and also just, you know, listening again to our field partners, and some of us have been getting out and visiting stores and asking questions, and just hearing. I think it's too early to lock in any definitive shifts, but certainly early want to interact.
Great. Yeah, I think you bring up a big question everybody's asking themselves right now is, will this behavior stick after this, right? So, Olivia, I'll leave it to you to sort of round out this question around how you folks are really monitoring and sort of addressing sort of customer behavior.
Yeah, there's a daily cadence to that. So we have a meeting every morning at 9 that looks at both the customer satisfaction feedback we get from our customers
30 seconds
every single day, our social listening, and then our sales performance from the day before to see what categories are moving, and our e-commerce penetration, which obviously is accelerating very rapidly. You know, for me, I'm looking at sort of this interim state right now as a temporary new normal, and I think we kind of know what that world is like. What I struggle with, and what we're really working on hard, is trying to figure out what the post-COVID world will look like, how consumer behavior, consumer sentiment, and the psyche of Canadians is going to be different post that, and that's a tricky one for us.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so we're going to move to our last question. I guess you could think of this as an easy question or a hard question. And I think you've all provided some great insight already just with those two first questions. But if there's one piece of advice, and I know there's probably lots of things and lots of questions you have yourself, but if there's one piece of advice you could give other marketing leaders right now, what would that be? And why don't we change this up a little bit? We'll start with you, Peter.
Yeah, I would say look after your people and communicate frequently. You can't underestimate, Carrie touched on it earlier, the impact that this is having on everybody. They may have a spouse that has lost their job. They may have a relative that is sick or is vulnerable, and you can't underestimate what people are going through on the other end of the video conference. So I would say look after your people, continuous communication with your team. They're the team that's going to take us through this, and so you need to connect with them as often as possible. So I'd say really look after your people.
Great point. There's just a total side note. There's this great technology we've been using around, it's facial recognition, but it monitors emotion. So we actually started using it in some of these video casts to really, because it's hard to, as much as, through this, video, we're connecting with people, we see their face, we really don't know what their emotions truly are. It's not like being in a room together where you can feel it, right? So there's some interesting technologies that are sort of trying to break that kind of fourth wall, if you will. So Carrie, over to you. How about any one piece of advice you could leave for marketers?
Yeah, you know what I think it's to continue really to do what good brands and great brand leaders have always done, and that's to really stick to a true and clear purpose, right? And one that positively impacts the balance sheet, but goes beyond that. So, one that really takes a stand. I think there's good research suggesting customers want brands to come out with a clear voice in all of this, and one that's helpful for the situation, that's going to lead us and guide us through. So, I think it's staying true to purpose, defining that purpose, listening to customers and understanding how they want you to help, and using your clout and your influence to make a difference.
Yeah, great points. Ubi, I'll leave it to you to round us out and to lead us out, I suppose.
Yeah, so I was going to talk about people, but Peter stole that from me, so I won't do that. I think it's really, really important to stay close to people in general and understand people's emotions through this, both our colleagues, but also our customers. I think it's really, really important. So it's a unique time, and people's emotions are extremely stressed right now, and we see that in the retail environment every single day with the things that are going on there. The other bit that I find sort of interesting is in this new way of working, agility has become an enormous advantage for us. The ability to make decisions and act on those decisions in a timeline that was previously completely inconceivable. We're doing things in hours and days that previously would have taken weeks or months, and so the courage to move and to get stuff done and to be decisive is what I think makes a difference at this time, and to empower the team to just go do it and break sort of the corporate structure in it and just go try some things, and you'll step on some rakes in the process, I'm sure, but it is proving very powerful for us right now.
Yeah, great point. I was saying before, actually, I think you got on the phone, might have been Carrie and I were talking about it, that it just seems to be this time we're getting more done than we've ever got done, and maybe that's a little more, we have more time, I suppose, in a way, because we are sort of in these lockdown situations. But I do think we're hyper focused. I think that's one of the big things this has created, and we're not distracted by all the other things. So I think it's fantastic. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. I think that was incredibly insightful. I told everybody this would be fast and furious, and it was. Great advice. Really, really appreciate your time. We're going to post this on our COVID-19 resource page as well, so it'll be available to all of our customers and lots of people that are asking these questions as well. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for participating in this, and I want to also wish you the best, and stay safe and stay well.